In the last episode on Verse, we learned how we've fallen in love with electric light for both practical and aesthetic reasons. We've painted city skylines with different technologies of light. And the question is, what could possibly go wrong? Take a moment to imagine the room, the city, the world that you live in without lights at night. It's an astonishingly different place. Turn the lights back on and something pops right out. The day blue sky comes back. But instead of sunlight above shining down and causing the blue sky, city light from below shines upwards, exciting those same nitrogen molecules in the atmosphere and resonating with them, causing them to re-emit light back down to the ground. This is skyglow. 83% of the world's population and at least 99% of folks in the US and Europe live under these glowing skies. The sky that our grandparents and our ancestors knew is disappearing rapidly. And how we understand and respond to change matters. So, what is changing for us as we change the night sky? This is a video of me sleeping. Who took it? I don't know. How'd they get into my house? I have no clue. I didn't sleep very well that night, and I don't think it's because somebody broke into my house. Look at how much light is coming through these curtains. People who live in cities and places with a lot of skyglow sleep way less. They go to sleep later into the night, and they're more likely to suffer from a sleep disorder. It's caused by a nucleus of neurons in your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This little group of neurons sits right next to the optic chiasm, which is where the signals from your eyes come in and interact with your brain. When light pours through our eyes and is sent to the optic chiasm, it syncs up the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is essentially one of many biological clocks that we have. When the light is finally switched off, the suprachiasmatic nucleus sends a signal to the pineal gland to start secreting melatonin into your brain and into your body. In other words, it's time to find a nice soft place to lie down and fall asleep.
If you delay the secretion of melatonin, you have less appetite, is that you will eat later. And because you eat later, you will sleep later. If you sleep later, your boss, he wants to see you at 8 o'clock at your office. And you are in the obligation to awake maybe at 6 o'clock and to commute. Good morning.
This is Maurice Ohayon. He's a sleep epidemiologist at Stanford University. Maurice and his team called up almost 16,000 Americans asking them, how well did you sleep last night? They linked that data to satellite images of the brightness of the city where the person lived.
The transition between day and night disappear because of the street lights. They have probably a secretion of melatonin that is delayed.
Okay, so it's the night before I'm gonna upload this video, and I'm here editing, and I'm kind of doing everything that Maurice is talking about. It's well past midnight. And what was I saying? Something about how sleep's important. Sleeping less than 6 hours a night is pretty bad for your health. One of the things that happens during the daytime is your brain is slowly filling up with this amyloid beta toxin. It's a protein that's found in the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease, and sleeping helps to flush it out and keep a healthy balance. And another thing In lab studies, sleepy mice were found to have a 200% faster growth of tumors than well-rested mice. They had more M2 cells, which promote cancer growth, and less M1 cells, which fight cancer growth. And another thing is your heart health. In a study from the Kanazawa Medical University in Japan, almost 2,300 middle-aged male workers were followed over a 14-year period. In the end, they found that those who slept less than 6 hours a night had a 400 to 500% higher chance of heart attack. Late night screen time is cutting that planned 8 hours of sleep you think you're getting down to 5 hours of groggy sleep. Studies have tested reading a book at night versus reading an iPad at night, and the iPad delays your sleep time by up to 3 hours. And that's because light from a screen like this one has a lot of blue in it. And that blue tricks your brain into thinking that it's still daylight outside and that you should suppress that darkness detector hormone melatonin. And that doesn't just delay when you fall asleep. It also decreases the depth of your sleep and how refreshed you feel when you wake up. I wonder why I do this to myself, why we do this to ourselves. Is it even worth it to have outdoor light at night and indoor light at night? What would we be giving up if we turned it off? We appreciate light at night for its practical value, its aesthetic value, and also for the safety it brings. As you go for a walk at night, the light can make you feel a lot safer about the sleepy drivers at the next crosswalk, as well as the spooky people around the next corner. Boo! But long before LEDs, starlight led us to safety. From explorers navigating home by the stars, to enslaved people finding their way north to freedom by the Big Dipper and the North Star. And just as humans followed starlight to safety for thousands of years, so too have other animals. From indigo bunting birds who migrate at night by the North Star and the Orion constellation, to even the tiny dung beetles who navigate by the moon and by the Milky Way. So as cities grow, you could imagine all these animals being driven out by modern settlement, decreasing the overall biodiversity of the world.
Well, that is a bit of a simplistic way to look at it.
Okay. This is Maja Grubisic. She's an expert on how city light affects aquatic ecosystems.
So some groups can benefit from additional light at night. For example, spiders like to make their nets under the lights because this is where the insects aggregate at night, and then they can catch more prey, grow more, reproduce more, and so on. Also bats, they are one of the well-studied groups because they are nocturnal animals and obviously who should be affected by lights at night. Some of them, the bigger bats, are attracted again to these areas where there is more prey around the lights. Smaller bat species seem to be avoiding the illuminated areas because they are also more visible to their predators. So it varies also very much between the species of the same group. How are they in particular responding to light? If you think about fish, humans, birds, bats, plants, they all respond in different ways. And we cannot really generalize across different living beings.
Birds on migration often fly into lit buildings. An average 599 million bird deaths occur per year in the US alone. Cute little kangaroo rats forage less effectively in bright nights as they try to hide from predators. Actual kangaroos, on the other hand, well, they actually chill out under bright lights. They're less vigilant against predators and actually forage more. Living the chill life, they also delay reproduction later into the year. And that could have the side effect of their newborns being vulnerable to missing peak resource seasons. Fireflies also have major reproductive issues under city light, since they find their mates by the glow they make on their bodies.
The sea turtles, which are super cute, and we have a lot of research that shows that if we have lighting across, behind the beach, turtle hatchlings are hatching, then they are disoriented by these lights often, and instead of going towards the sea, they go towards the roads, and then they are often killed by the cars, or they are stranded around looking for ways to get to the sea, and then they are also spending more time on land, exposed to the birds. They may eat them and so on. So, I mean, many sea turtles are also endangered species or threatened, and this can be a big source of mortality for the hatchlings who are trying to reach the sea and then survive to the old age. Many anyway don't.
Now you might be saying, oh, the poor sea turtles, but what does this have to do with my life or life as a whole? And that's where it starts to get really interesting, because light at night also disrupts primary producers. And that is what Maja's research focuses on.
They study periphyton, which is a slimy community of algae and bacteria that grows on the surfaces underwater. You can think of it as plants, because it's the base of the food chain in the waters. So it's algae, who are a good food source for aquatic insects, for herbivorous fish, snails, zooplankton as well, if feeding on the phytoplankton dispersed in the water column and so on. So it is really the base of the food web. And then if you have some changes there, if maybe more or less grow under the illuminated areas, in the illuminated areas, then this can mean more or less food for the consumers later on in the food chain. And in this way, it may propagate through the ecosystem to influence the whole productivity. We would go to pristine areas and install some lights, and then see how the ecosystem that never experienced light at night before, other than moonlight only, how would they respond to this change? I mean, normally plants do photosynthesis, right? Algae do too. So they absorb light and they make biomass using this energy. And then because light at night is just additional illuminated period of the night compared to the daytime, so they will theoretically grow more. This is what you would expect. But then it was a surprise to see that actually in my experiments, even in two different ecosystems, the algae in the end grew less under the illuminated conditions. And then it seems that this is some kind of a disturbance for them. So there are certain processes that happen during the day and certain that happen during the night. And darkness is maybe important in order to have them taking place the way they should.
They sleep in a way.
Yeah, in their own way, possibly.
Yeah. Maybe I wonder if they dream. No.
Also, some algae may like more light and then grow more, or some may like it less and then grow less. So then you have a changed community composition, and that means also the quality of the food could be changed for the consumers. So they may even eat like the same amount, but then they get less of omega-3 fatty acids, which are crucial for their development.
It's like if you ordered an avocado toast, but instead of avocado, you got green mayo. It might be the same number of calories, but it has way less nutrients. Light at night is clearly an evolutionary pressure among many others, but unlike chemical or greenhouse gas pollution, it's the easiest one to fix.
We use it when we need it, for example. It would already be a big improvement to switch it off when you are not there to see the light. There is some aesthetic value in these ecosystems that are healthy or in balance, so to say. If you have a garden at home, there is no reason for your garden to be illuminated the whole night if you're not there to see it. So then switch it off and go to bed, and let also the night animals have their own party in the darkness.
But outside the city, different dramas are underway. And they are mostly unmarked by the orange glows of modern human settlement. The same lights above come into view, but joined by many more. Each floating at a distance far greater than any human can ever understand. the sunrise comes, inevitably, I still imagine those stars just beyond the thin curtain of day. As 7.5 billion crewmates on spaceship Earth, we're deciding what's more important than the awe and wonder and curiosity that these nights of yesteryear bring us. And I hear what you're saying. Just go drive 2 hours in the loneliest direction and behold your stars returning. But what if I told you that the darkest dark night skies are going away too? And it might mean missing an Earth-killing asteroid on a collision course.